Alrighty, welcome back everybody to JJ's PC Builds right here. And welcome back. Good to see everybody here today. Hello machine, welcome. Hopefully you can hear me really well. If you can't, let me know in the comment below, which we got the comments open and we're reading them. Today, well, I just want to touch on something that I did on Graphics Cards Nightmare yesterday. I want to touch up a little bit on that. The simple fact, I did have somebody here. And yes, they were kind of shy. I don't know why they're kind of shy, but they told me that, they would appreciate it if I didn't show their face and use their voice. So I accommodated them and they helped me out on the video. I know there's more that I'm going to do with Graphics Card Nightmares, but you all have to be patient because I'm still tweaking and tuning it. And I know a lot of people want me to start showing like graphs and everything else. That's what makes my channel different. I show you what these companies have at the stores. If you want graphs and everything else, and listen to me very carefully, if you want graphs or anything else, we'll get you there. We won't have a problem with that. Takes time to build those things, so we will work on it. And hello, MTBK. Good to see you. Good to see you. All right. So what we're going to do today is we're going to talk about the simple fact of a comment that I made on a short on my mobile channel, which was I asked a question to all GPU technicians, and the question was, can I add more RAM to my GPU? That's the question. And we got a lot of answers about it. Because the reason why I asked that question, because I'm seeing them take, Radeon GPUs, ATI GPUs, or whatever kind of GPUs, and they're taking the 1 gigabyte and they're adding like 22 gigabytes of VRAM to these cards. And I'm sitting there thinking, why are they adding so much VRAM to these cards? What made them special? Well, that's what I wanted to find out. But everybody's making it look like I was trying to fix mine. Well, I was trying to see if I could add more RAM to my RTX 4070, that would have been interesting. That would have been really interesting to see if it can be done. But we'll go through the comments and we'll talk about it and we'll go through one by one. So let's go ahead and go to the comment section in the action screen, see what's cooking. All right, we're here at the comment screen. So I told everybody, I left a comment on it and I said to everybody, hello everyone, big thanks for, thank you for your amazing responses. This Saturday, which is today, 11 a.m., which is now, I'll be reading off the comments out loud in the live stream. This is what we're doing here today. We're reading off the comments. And I thanked everybody for sharing their thoughts. So let's go ahead and get started. Well, let's see. We'll start with this one right here. I'll take and put a thumbs up on it. Very difficult. Cypher Miss said very difficult. It is very difficult. I do agree with that. And I know a lot of people are going to agree with that. But next comment. It would be extremely difficult if. Let me go again. It would be extremely difficult. You'd be better off running a GPU with more VRAM or running dual GPUs. Okay, well, the thing about that is this. Crossfire and, let's just say Crossfire. Crossfire's been out of existence for a long time. Running dual GPUs now these days, you can still run it on the older series with certain programs, but up to date, you can't really run them on the newest programs. You could, but is it going to work? That's going to be the question. So, okay, Paul Zick 6969 said, first of all, you have to get a custom BIOS driver for that GPU. Then you would need to find required VRAM MOSFET, which should be noted in the BIOS or driver notes. Noting, I know it's not MOSFET, but a chip that read more. Okay, that we usually call them in our shop. That's it. You should never take you would need to take some soldering classes if you haven't worked on microchips before. Okay, I like that comment, and that's true. The thing is this. Yes, you would need to take soldering classes. I have 36 years of soldering experience. So do you really think I need to take a soldering class? That's something to really think about. And then he goes on to say, then you would need air soldering station. Yes, I agree with the minimum plus equipment for tracking voltages. Yes, I do agree with that. If you have familiar with oscilloscope monitoring, which I am, you should be able to do diagnostic yourselves from that point. Yeah. But the whole question is it's not so much for me needing the experience, it's so much to see if it can be done. I hear on the new 40 series that they got some things locked out, so I don't know if somebody right down the road, let's say NVIDIA didn't lock some things to where you can't do that. But finding out that they didn't, because they always leave an option open, especially when you got a card that's got 12 gigabytes of VRAM, which the card should be acceptable up to 16 gigabytes of VRAM, regardless of the, what do you call it? I'll think of the name. But anyway, you should be able to do it. A lot of people are saying you can't, but, you should be able to do if you can. Because I've seen it done with other cards before. It should be able to be done. Just a tip, if you want more VRAM, sell off your RTX and find something else that with your desired VRAM amount. Adding more VRAM is not as easy as an example. Let's say adding better air intake for a car. Okay, well, I'm not going to be taking my GPU, putting 4 wheels on it, and driving it down the road. Come on, man. And the risks are way bigger as well. While on your car, you would kill it if you fail something with... No, that's true, you would, but if you didn't know what you were doing, yeah, you would kill it. With GPU, you would kill it if you do it wrong. At least 95% chance that you will kill it. Well, you know what? Optimistically, I wouldn't kill it. Optimistically. And MTBK says, memory bus interface regardless. Yes, my bad. I forgot what the name was. I was thinking it, But you got to remember, the memory bus on that is 192-bit. Now, keep in mind, AMD just did the 7600 XT with the 128-bit bus. Read my lips, 128-bit bus with 16 gigabytes of VRAM. How did they do it? That's the question. I'm not able to do it on my GPU? I think not. I think it can be done. MTBK says memory bus width not to be confused with memory bandwidth. Oh, I know that. That's the gigabits number because the bus width is multiplied with the VRAM clock speed. Depends. That depends. Like I said again, if that was the case, then AMD would have never built the 7600 XT. Never would have built it. But they got 16 gigs of RAM on that card. So, talking with a couple of friends and one that's working over at NVIDIA, saying it is possible. So, I already got a confirmation that it is possible. So, we'll move on with these questionings. Machine says, I'm wondering the same thing. I'll give you a thumbs up, bro. Yeah, you don't need to wonder because it is possible. And don't forget, y'all, don't forget your Venom. I got it right here again. My Venom. That's what I had to crack open today. So, you think having a low bus won't allow you to get more VRAM on your card? Repositioning and changing a couple components, yes, you can. If you know what you're doing, if you don't try it. Do not attempt it because it is, like everybody says, it's a lot harder than you think. So, and Alt 8620 says material needed, air soldering gun. Check. I agree. New VRAM chips that add the desired value and skill not to beep up the soldering process. I agree with it. I'll give you a thumbs up for that. I do agree with you. But they just announced today. Well, no, it was probably yesterday. But they did announce, I think it was Samsung, if I remember right. Either Samsung, Hynix, and all of them got together to come up with the 2 gigabytes, 3 gigabytes, 4 gigabytes, 6 gigabytes, and 8 gigabytes of VRAM chips. Individual chips. So, I'm waiting to see when they come out with the 8 gigabytes of VRAM chips. It's been all over the internet, so y'all might want to go check that out. So, if that's the case, you don't need a clamshell MTBK. You say a clamshell 2x2 gigabytes per 32-bit memory controller, which isn't true. Okay? They've come up with a new philosophy for it to where you can take a card from 12 to 16. Do remember, with the 4070, you can put 16 gigs of VRAM on it because it has the extra slots, and they should be open. They're not connected, but they are open for you to put in the components to actually combine it to the 12 that's there. So, personally, I do not need clamshell configurations. All that matters is to keep the cost down, at least to me. Yeah, I agree, keeping the cost down. But the whole purpose of this exercise was to find out in the tech world if they could do it or not. It's not so much if I can do it, it's so much if they can do it. You know, because I see everybody talking about, oh, we can do this on YouTube, that they can take a 1 gigabyte card, add 22 gigabytes to it, and not do anything else. That sparked my interest. Well, then, if they could do that with the 1 gigabyte card, could you imagine what they could do with the 12 gigabyte card? Kind of figuring that out. So, that's the whole idea. The whole idea of the exercise was to find out if they can do it. But with the manufacturers coming up with the bigger chips, as long as you can get ones that match, I think you could do the 8 gigabyte chips with a little bit of tweaking. Could you imagine me putting 24 gigabytes of VRAM on my card? Soldering's not that hard. You know, it looks like it's that hard for everybody, but if you've done it for quite a while, it's not that hard. So I just want to make that point really clear. You know, the techs know they've done it for years. Okay. Tamo 069009 says you gotta have the VRAM with the same speeds, I think, and you gotta have soldering skills and tools. I agree. You know, but do you really think that you need to really do that? I've seen technicians before on their YouTube channel use cross-configurated chips that they can go in and change a couple components on the PCB to go from like Samsung to Hynix. It can be done. I've seen it before. So MTBK says PC Games Hardware made a weekly video yesterday showing some graphs mentioning Moore's Law is dead rumors, suggesting it is very likely that the GB202 chip for RTX 5090 will have 512-bit bus. Yeah, and they said 48 gigabytes of VRAM too. Okay. They've said that too. I've heard that rumor go on for not just yesterday or today. I've been hearing this rumor for the last 3 weeks, almost to a month. But I didn't want to say nothing about it because I wanted some confirmation on it before I said anything. So, They're saying the 50 series, the RTX 5000 series, is going to be a smoker of a series compared to the 40 series. This is the reason why I said to everybody yesterday on the video, save your money. Don't buy a GPU right now, because what's going to be coming out might be a lot more to your benefit to get a 50 series than a 40 series. But time will tell, and you never know what's going to happen. MTBK says they said it's 32 gigabyte, so 2 gigabits per 32-bit memory controller, no clamshell needed. Yeah, but you didn't go in deep to it. They also said, they said that before, but they also said yesterday, was it yesterday or the day before, the manufacturers are coming up with the 8 gigabyte chips. Each individual chip's going to be 8 gigabytes. Those are the ones that everybody's waiting to see. Now, if they come out with that, that's going to change the whole aspect of your GPU. So there's much more to this. There's much more to this. So you're going to have to wait a little bit to see what's going to happen. So moving on. ADR Daniel says 10 difficulty. I agree. It's not easy for anybody to do it. You know, you got to have that skill that's needed. You know, you need a lot of equipment and knowledge. If anything goes wrong, you are screwed. Okay, well then if I do it, it's my money. It's not somebody else's money. If it's my own equipment to do it and test with it, then it's my own equipment. You think I'm going to spend $600-700 on a GPU and turn around and screw it up with not having any experience? No, I'm going to take something that costs $20 to $30 and experiment with that before I even decide to go up to something like that. You know, that's how you gain experience, is by working on the small stuff and mastering that, and then work your way up to the top. It's going to have a little cost to it. Yeah, it might cost you $100, but at least you're gaining your experience by working on your own stuff. Now, if you're working on somebody else's equipment, that's your problem, but with me, I don't do that with other people's stuff. I work on my own stuff, and if I build something for somebody, I make sure it works before it leaves the house. I will tell you that. Okay, so let's go back. I recommend getting an RX 7900 XTX, which I won't, that has 24 gigabytes of VRAM and goes from $800 to $1,000. Okay, $800 to $1,000. This card is usually to a 4080 or a 4090 in some benchmarks. Okay, well, let me tell you what I agree with and I disagree with. I agree with getting a better card if you want to play those high intensity games, but most of your consumers don't have that option. Okay, they don't. You got to look at it in a consumer's point of view. Basically, it comes to like, you know, the ones that can afford between $200 and $400 to $500. Okay, I set my benchmarks usually from $200 to $600. Okay, in between there, that's usually where 80. Well, I'm going to say about 75 to 80% of your consumers are sitting now these days. So that's basically where I put my margins, is because that put it into the category of affordability. Okay, you want it to be affordable to the consumer, and my channel is based upon affordability. So we have to look at it that way. MTBK says, nice background music, by the way. It feels very spicy to listen to your live stream. Oh, thanks, man. I appreciate it. Yeah, you can thank Dakota. Dakota's the one that hooked me up with the synthesizer. That really good one. It's a computer generated synthesizer. So basically, it's got the sounds and everything else, so I can put it in the background and start making it really, You guys asked me to spice it up, and which I did. You guys said on Discord, hey, you need to spice things up, which I did. So here we go. This is the first step. I'm still working on it, and I'm going to keep moving forward until I got it fine-tuned just the way I want it to be. So that way you guys would enjoy the videos better, and, that's the whole idea, is so you can enjoy my videos better, so I can make it more comfortable for you all to watch them, to stick around and watch them, That's the whole idea, man. Just to make them comfortable, Okay, so we looked through this and I gave you my opinion. I'm going to give you a thumbs up for the simple fact, just to let you know that, recommending to people that can't afford to do that with the VRAM, I can respect that and say, you know what? Yeah. I mean, if they could afford $1,000 for a 7900 XTX, yeah, I wouldn't recommend going that route. No. But if they can't and they can buy the chips for $20, that's a different story. Dakota, the good boy. I agree, man. He is good people. So I just want y'all to understand something. It goes by what you can afford. Even if I go and show you a listing of graphics cards, a whole list of them, and say, okay, the price is this. What can you afford? Or what is your level of gameplay that you want to use? See, you can't base a graphics card on what my perspective is. You have to base the graphics card on what your gameplay is and what you want to do with the graphics card. I can't tell you what to do with the graphics card. I could show you what the performance is. But when it comes to the amount of VRAM, all I'm doing is asking a question about adding more VRAM to my 4070. Is it possible? So, moving on down the road. Okay, Universal VLAD says, why would you need to do that? That's a question. Well, let's say you can't afford, let's just say you can't afford $1,000 card, right? And you have a $200 card, right? No warranty, no nothing. You have a $200 card. But you see on YouTube, this one dude takes like a, let's say for an example, a 3060. He takes it from the 12 gigabytes of VRAM up to 24 with no software, no nothing. Just that. Just replacing the chips. That was it. And he went from 12 gigabytes to 24. No software, no firmware, no BIOS adjustment, nothing. Just replace the chips. And he shows everybody on the graph that his graphics card's plugged into the computer, and shows everybody on HW Info, hey, guess what? Here it is, 16 gigabytes. Does nothing to upscale it or anything else, just as is. And everybody's like, okay, so he went from 12 to 24 gigabytes. So now he's got a 24 gigabyte card, does a game, and he shows everybody it games. And it games very well, better than when it ran before. Come on. I mean, can't be that hard. So, your warranty would be done for. Well, it depends on the graphics card. Depends on if you were going to get a 40 series, 30 series, 20 series, or 10 series, and you're going to boost the RAM up on it. I mean, it all depends. Your warranty is not going to last forever. Do you think I'm going to take a warranty item and do that with? No. I'm going to wait for the warranty to run out and then think about doing something like that. I mean, I'd rather get great gameplay out of what I have now and then add on to it later. Not now, but later. Do keep that in mind. You can do that. You will need to install custom software on it so you can even work. So it could even work. So you're saying I need to install custom software on it just to make it work? Do you really think so? Depends on the GPU. Because if you get one that's already set up like that you can do that with, you got to do your research and homework before you decide to do something like that. Some people do the research to find out the do's and the don'ts. So when they go to upgrade these GPUs to a higher perspective, guess what? It already has everything in place. Even in the BIOS, everything's set in the firmware. So don't believe that every GPU is equal, which it is not. They make every GPU differently. As far as firmware to the BIOS on that hardware. So keep that in mind. It's really hard to do that because you'll need some custom components to pair with the GPU. Well, not that many. Really, not that many. Not unless it doesn't carry the MOSFET VRAM chips doesn't carry the load. Then you would have to upgrade the VRAM on that to a higher VRAM in order to carry the load, but that would be pretty much, downtown. But as far as the bit rate, as long as you got, and even I said again, I'm going to say this 1,000 times, if AMD can take 120-bit, 28-bit, 128-bit bus and put 16 gigs of RAM on it, I don't see why you can't do it with the 192-bit bus on the 4070. So let's keep that in mind. Even if you manage to do that, it can still be a failure. Well, the only way it becomes a success is if you fail. You have to fail to succeed. You have to understand that. Being a technician, you have to fail so many times in order to get it right. So, yeah, you fail to succeed. So, you're going to have to fail in order to succeed. Keep that in mind. I recommend not doing that. Okay, well, that's your recommendation. It's noted. So, now, let's move on down the road. Rhymes 4 says, very, 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 very hard. Yeah, that's what my girl says. No, I'm just kidding. Just kidding. Yeah, I agree. Nothing's ever easy in life. If you don't take a chance, you'll never learn. A Brazilian YouTuber successfully did that and made the 1% FPS way higher. Thrash Vic says this. Now, read this comment right here, everybody. Read that comment. A Brazilian YouTuber successfully did that and made the 1% FPS way higher. So, somebody's already done it. I'll give you a thumbs up for that comment for sure. Rock Pie says, yes. Okay, agreed. Rock Pie is agreeing. Fire Bad No Fire 9768 says, basically as close to a rocket science as you can get. Yeah, it is. Christian Flores 3437 says, it's being done for AI purposes by a huge quantity, not impossible. I do agree. And hopefully y'all are smashing the like button too if you agree with all these comments that are going on this video. Make sure you smash that like bell and make sure you subscribe to JJ's PC Builds. Hello. MTBK says, yeah, the RTX 3070 with 16 gigabytes of VRAM. They changed all 10 gigabyte modules to 2 gigabyte each. That's the Brazilian YouTuber. Oh, cool. Well, at least they did it. That you got to give them credit. At least they took 10 gigabytes to 16. At least they did it. So that's cool that they did it. Back to the comments. Prisma Short says, it's extremely difficult, sir. Pretty much non-possible. As expensive, and even one mistake can give you a GPU death. Okay, well, I do agree with you on that. That's if you don't know what you're doing. So, if you don't know what you're doing, don't attempt it. Sly Zaka says, the internal bus is too complex and destroys its microarchitecture. It's design that needs an overhaul. Well, I do agree it does need an overhaul because they should have put the 4070 with 16 gigabytes of VRAM for $600. Because $200 more, you get a 16 gigabyte of VRAM card. Or if you go onto the AMD side, you get the 7800 XT around the same price with 16 gigabytes of VRAM. Yeah, NVIDIA does have a little bit of an issue, so I do agree. Sure, if the memory pressure is high enough and high resolution, it sure improves on the 1% lows FPS, If the game doesn't need much VRAM access, no matter the size or speed, it doesn't help. Yeah, it doesn't really. It'll hurt more than it helps. Having too much could actually hinder your speed and slow. It could, from what I heard from other technicians, that too much, and I didn't think they were correct when they told me this, but they say when you have too much VRAM, what it could do is overload and make it, like a sponge. Basically, when you put water on a sponge and it absorbs, it'll keep absorbing. And that's pretty much what happens with your VRAM chips. They just absorb. So, you get certain games, and this is one caveat I see a problem with. Certain games, they have to where, they lock like certain amount of VRAM to the GPU. Basically what that means is that the game constantly needs that VRAM, so it locks a certain amount out away from the rest of certain blocks. It's crazy, but I seen it happen to where, you play a game and boom, it automatically locks you out of 8 gigabytes of VRAM. So you only got 4 gigs left, and then the game requires the usage of at least 2 out of 4, and then you work your way up. It happens. So, that I agreed to. So I should make sure my RTX 4060 allocates at least 3 gigabytes of VRAM or what? Truthfully, your GPU's already allocated a certain amount just for Windows alone. So you're kind of locked out from that. That's the problem. Because Windows already allocates a certain amount, and then a game allocates a certain amount, and then you're left with a little bit for your textures and whatever. So, I don't know. Expectation as an emulator, of course. Like 300 megabytes for some of my favorite games is hilarious these days. They probably are. Oh, interesting. I thought the Intel iGPU does the operations system stuff. No, not necessarily true. Sometimes depends on the operation. But with Windows 11, they're already, shoot. Let me pull this up. And task manager. Go into performance, go into memory. Okay. Let me move this. There. Okay. Now this is in memory. Okay. Now let me move this down a little bit for you. In use, right here. Oh, wrong one. My bad. If you look right here, it's already allocated 1.8 gigabytes of video memory. It's dedicating 1.6 to the system alone. It's dedicating 1.6. So out of 12, I'm using 1.6, But that's just for, believe it or not, that's just for the system alone. That has nothing to do with the game. I'm not on a game or playing a game. It should not even be dedicating 1 gigabyte of VRAM at all. But this is the system dedicating. So, yeah. Some people don't understand that whole purpose, but, with Windows, they dedicate a certain amount. And everybody's like, oh, I'm using this amount of VRAM and this and that. No, the higher you go up in games using VRAM, the higher you're going to go up in when it comes to your system usage for VRAM. So, well, if I disable the 4060 operating system, still runs. It doesn't matter if you disable it or not. You're still going to need some integrated graphics to support your CPU with your GPU. You're still going to need that regardless. You could disable the VRAM, but it's still going to need a certain amount for you to put pictures on your monitor. So it's still going to need it regardless. Yeah, I think your GPU does the live streaming coding, right? Yeah, it does. Mine does. Yeah. It could do the live streaming coding with no problem. I mean, I have no problem with it whatsoever. It's running great. Your 4070 to calculate some stuff, about 25 to 40% load I have seen. Let me see. When it comes to the load, let me go to GPU Z, and I can show you that. Let's see. Let's see. Huh. That's interesting. Oh, that's not what I was looking for. Maybe this one is. GPU Z. Yay, I found it. So let's see. Let's go into... And you're saying you don't use the processor graphics, so the 4070 does all the stuff. Yeah. Yeah, it does. I got a UHD with the 64 execution units. That means 512 shaders. They can do light load stuff. Right. So right now, with the streaming, I am running almost close to idle. Because I'm only drawing 20, listen man, I'm only drawing total 30 to 40 watts. Okay, I'm not drawing that much. 8% GPU load right there, 8%. Memory controller load, 2%. Video engine load, 20%. Video engine load, 20%. You know, so right now I'm just sitting there running idle, basically. So is my CPU. My CPU's sitting almost idle. So everything that I'm doing right now is sitting almost idle. You know, it's not really drawing anything. So if that's what you're wondering, it's basically my system's running like on idle, close to idle. So load wise, no. 8%, I don't think so. That's about all you're getting. Oh, 43% load there. 25 watt average. Well, mine's only running 8% at 23 watts. So, I don't know. That's not too bad, I don't think. I don't think that's too bad at all. Okay, let's move on down the road. Rami RHM says, it's very difficult. You have to be an expert at it. You need the graphics card and the tools to do it. 12 gigabytes of GDR6 memory. It is very risky, so I advise you not to do so. By the way, for now, 12 gigabytes of VRAM is more than enough. I agree. GPU with 4 gigs are starting to die, but 12 gigs are perfectly fine. I will give you a thumbs up for that, and I do agree with you. I do agree with you. For the simple fact, I wasn't thinking about altering my GPU. I just wanted to know if it could be done. That's the whole thing. And all the while gaming, RTX 40 series is literally more efficient than AMD's 7080M. Integrated graphics, but more expensive, of course. Yeah. I agree. I agree with that. Efficiency, quality, and speed is everything everybody needs when it comes to playing a game. Now, the 780M is designed for the people that don't want graphics cards. They'd rather run off of the system, the onboard system graphics. That's basically what that's designed for. System onboard graphics. They would rather run off of the RAM that's on the PC than they would a separate type of RAM that runs faster in speed. Believe it or not, with integrated graphics, you can make it run faster by upgrading the speed of the RAM, the system RAM, to make it run faster. So, yeah. And if you want more you can consider integrated graphics the VRAM, the system RAM. So, if you want to make it have more system RAM for the integrated graphics, you can get all the way up to, if I remember right, 16 gigs. Because I've done it with this 5600G to where I plugged in 64 gigs of system RAM and got the option for 16 gigabytes of memory RAM for the integrated chip. So keep that in mind. Do not think when these new processors come out with the integrated graphics built on that you can't do nothing with them. You can dedicate more RAM to that chip as long as you have a fast enough speed on your RAM in order to support that. Once you do that, that's like running a graphics card on your PC without the graphics card. Just to let you know that and keep that in mind. Because you can make it faster and make integrated graphics work a lot faster. Look at they boosted the 8700 up to 10, what did they say, 10 gigahertz, somewhere in there. 10 gigahertz. That's unheard of any AMD chip to do that. You think my 5700X can go up to 10 gigahertz? No. The most I could ever push out of this is 4.650 megahertz or gigahertz. 4.6 gigahertz. That's as much as I could ever get out of it. But I really didn't, I never stressed it out yet. So it's still, nicey. Yes, faster and more system RAM definitely help integrated graphics unit. We see this with all the Ryzen 7 700Gs testing. Question is the extra cost worth it? Well, if you think about it, is it not? Your heat source that's inside your PC is, you got to remember, you usually have between the baseline of 200 watts coming off a graphics card. 200 watts minimal off of a graphics card. Now you pull that out of the equation, pull that away from the system, and then the motherboard is only running nominal power from the processor, and that's it. The most that's ever being used with your system at that point is your processor, your integrated graphics processor. Because now you don't have a GPU pulling the 70 watts away from the motherboard. Now, when you plug it into that slot, it's still going to pull that 70 watts. Plus, whatever it pulls on the external. So, you got to keep that in mind. 8700G achieved DDR5 10600 system RAM speed without any effort in liquid nitrogen cooling or stuff like that. Yep. Well, pretty much, yeah. So if it can achieve that, it can achieve anything. Basically what it comes down to it. These new processors they're going to be coming out with are going to be mean. They're going to be rough. They're going to be like probably more power consuming. So if you're going to want a desktop, you're going to have to get a bigger power supply. I can guarantee that. You're going to need a bigger power supply. I'm already hearing people get 2,500 watt power supplies just for their systems. Do you think your plug in your wall can handle 2,500 watts? Hell no. Think about it. You're going to pull 25 amps from your wall just for your computer. I don't think so. You would have to have a dedicated line, electrical line put in just for your computer. I doubt you're going to do that because that's going to be expensive. I mean, expensive. Back onto these questions. Dan Vidier 1950 said, I look into it and everyone told me it was either impossible or not worth the effort. The beep of it is that there are unpopulated areas on the card, which is true. That just screamed to me, fill me. I think you would need a different chip, which you would, and a ton of those almost microscopic components, which you do, around those chips and custom bias, I don't think so. I think it's already been customized. I think it's just you got to go in and alter you just got to alter a couple chips, but that's pretty much it. After getting the diff chip, you may as well get a different card. I was also just charged $500 to replace my power port on a 4080. No shit. Wow. If 20 minutes of work is $500, then this would cost more than the card. Oh, wow. Not unless you do it yourself and you want to attempt something like that, but then you can figure out where you're going to get the chips from. Then you'll see how expensive or how cheap it is. But I'm hearing the going rate is $20, $25. So those Core 3 Ultras or Core 5 Ultras will not need this much power. Sure, an i9 14900KS can pull up to 400 watts. Oh, yeah. Yeah, of course. Just wait until the 10,000 series come up on AMD as far as their CPU processors. I could already tell you Intel is going to already be knocking it out of the box with the 15th gen. 15th gen is going to be knocking it out of the box. When it comes to power efficiency, they're not going to be as efficient as everybody is thinking, because they're already talking about equivalent to 600 watts alone. So keep that in mind. Now, let's see. Hayes MNS Little Pookie Bear says very possible. Good answer. Just buy a 7900 XT, a 4080 Super, a 7800 XT. They just come with more VRAM about the factory, and you are likely going to kill the 4070 if you do that. Well, to each is their own, but it doesn't hurt to try, because it's going to come sooner or later. You can see, listen, if I want to go to experiment with the 4070, I could take and go get a broken one off of eBay, a broken one for like quarter of the price, and experiment with that and fix it. Yeah, that's common sense. When it comes to experimenting, I'll buy something off of eBay. I'll look at it, see what I can do to fix it, and experiment with it to get it running right. Once I got it running right, then I plug it in and I'm off to the race. So you could buy stuff to experiment with. Always keep that in mind. Always never experiment with your stuff unless you know what you're doing. So, and that's experience telling you. Okay, so user UJ2KY1TW6K says you are going to need a heavy-duty soldering station. The skills and the hardest part, you will need to find the VRAM chips. So very difficult, which is true. But if you got a connection that you can get the chips from and get them matched and everything else, then it doesn't become difficult. Depends on if you got the connection. If you got the connection, you can get them. Okay. Dexter TU3IV says, I have no idea. Oh, I'll give you a thumbs up for that. Not a lot of people know the answer to the question, so I got to give them a thumbs up on that. Okay. Singularity 8943 says, so you would know. Let me start again. Sorry, I'm getting tongue twisted. So you would need to desolder all the VRAM and put on new chips that are equivalent, not equate, equivalent to the new amount. See, in order for you to get the VRAM to work correctly, you have to find chips that are bigger in size but are equivalent to the ones that you already have in your GPU. So they got to match equivalently to the ones. If you can get that kind of match but get more VRAM off of it, then you got the right ones. So they need to be equal capacity per chip for stability reasons. Then you would need to tweak the drivers. Again, you don't need to tweak anything. It's already been done. Everybody thinks you got to go in there and tweak the firmware. You don't have to tweak the firmware. The firmware is already done for you. You got to use a special little device, a chip device, in order to switch on and off certain things in the GPU. But it's already designed in a certain way. You don't even really need to do that. You just need, from what I'm hearing, you just need to take and put equivalent chips in there, make sure they're the same manufacturers, and go from there. But, to each is their own. NVIDIA hates it when you go and do that, so yeah, it'd be pretty hard. Yeah, I agree. It's possible, but it takes a lot of soldering. You do not need custom drivers like the people here seem to think. I'm running a 3070 with 16 gigabytes of VRAM. I added, and I'll say it's very possible, but hard. And that's the Orphan Oblator saying that. Seems somebody's already done it here. So let's keep moving on. Checking Tandy 7727 said, oh Lord, here we go. The 4070 does not need 24 gigabytes of VRAM. It is fine at 12 for 1440p gaming. I don't know a single game out there at 1440p that the 4070 struggles with VRAM. Same with the 4070 Super and hell, even the 4070 Ti. Yeah, I get you're spending over $800 for a 4070 Ti, but at 1440p, it is a beast of a card and is faster at 1440p than a 3090, even a 3090 Ti. I agree. Sorry, I agree with that. So, moving on down the road to another question. Flaming Mixin says, easy, just write your own driver to be compatible with all the games and applications you want to run, as NVIDIA drivers aren't open source. The rest are just easy hardware engineering. You could do that, but remember, if you're the kind of person that's trying to save $1, I can understand that's free, but it doesn't solve the issue of the VRAM. And for you to write something for the games to comprehend and for it to work correctly with them, it's not that simple neither. It's just adding more complexity to more complexity. Instead of just dealing with the hardware itself and modifying the hardware itself, everybody keeps talking about modify the software, modify the software. You don't need to modify the software, because when NVIDIA downloads their updates, they already do the modification of the software. So no matter what you put into the BIOS, the firmware, it's in the long run, NVIDIA is going to modify it through their software. So what you can use and what you can't use is going to be modified as such. So modifying the hardware itself assures you that they can't bypass it through the software. So that's the whole idea of modifying the hardware, is so they don't bypass it through the software. So I'll give them a thumbs up for that. Gaming Comat 5649. Bro, that is hard but possible, but a lot of buts. It could not be used because there is no driver for it. That's meaning, yes, you would have 12 more gigabytes, but it would not be utilized because there's no drivers to utilize it. Well, that's what they call strapping. So basically, yes, it can be utilized if you strap it correctly without software. You can still use the same firmware, strap it, and get it to work. And that's done through hardware. Just to let you know that. So, it can be done. Don't think it can't. Give you a thumbs up for that. You need SOD skills. I agree. The memory bus can't support it. I disagree with that. I disagree with it because if that's the case, like I said again, the reason why I'm saying that is because AMD has a 128-bit bus and the 4070 is a 192-bit bus. It could probably support 16 gigabytes of VRAM, but 24 gigabytes of VRAM, I agree with that. I don't think it can support it. But 16 gigabytes, I think it can support it. So if that's what you mean, I'll give you a thumbs up for that. For the 24 gigabytes of VRAM, yeah, I kind of tend to agree with that. But 16, it should support it. I think there is just one Chinese company that does it the decades for old GPUs. Yeah, they do. I've seen them many of times, but I'm older GPUs like that, I'm not going to go that route. I wouldn't. Why don't you just buy a GPU with more VRAM? It would be cheaper and less headache and less time. So yeah, I do agree with you. But it's a test. It's a test to see if your skills, if you can do it. That's the whole thing. It's a test of your skills. Okay, so take something and that's, down in the dumps and make it into a gold mine. If I were to take and tell everybody, okay, I just slammed 16 gigabytes of VRAM on a 4070 and said it's the easiest thing in the world you can do, how many people on YouTube are going to be watching my channel to see if I can do it? I want you to really think about that. I don't understand why a 192-bit GPU could not support 24 gigabytes of VRAM. If 128-bit RTX 4060 Ti can do it, 16 gigabyte clamshell configuration, and call it a day. Yeah, exactly. That's the whole point. Okay? That's the whole point. Why can't it? The card's already designed to hold that amount. See, that's what people don't understand. Usually when they design a card from 2021 to now, they've overbuilt the cards for that reason. For people, and you know why you're called an enthusiast, is because you could take and experiment with that idea and make it work. That's why they call you an enthusiast. So if you can't take that idea and make it work, then come on. That's common sense. I mean, they're already doing it. They already have the stuff built into it. It's already in place. All you have to do is add a couple components. I mean, come on, get out of here with that. Cheaper to buy a 4090. Yeah, it could be. But I'm not going to buy a 4090. $2,000 compared to $40, you kind of think about it. Very, very hard, not worth, in my opinion. Yeah, some people it is. It's not worth it in some people's opinion. I can agree to disagree to agree. Not difficult at all if you have the tools and knowledge of micro soldering and can edit a BIOS with hex editor, which you really don't need to do because truthfully the BIOS has already got it built in for the 16 gigabyte conversion. So I really don't see you need to modify anything. And are willing to get scammed buying the modules. No, you wouldn't get scammed buying the modules if you were to say you got 2 open slots on the 4070. Go get yourself another 4070, a broken one. Test the RAM chips in it, make sure they're good. Take 2 of the RAM chips from that and add it to the 2 slots. Add a couple resistors and boom. Have your 16 gigabytes in a smile. So 3 times the price. Yeah, it's the question you should ask unless you know the answer yourself in the first place. Yeah, I do know the answer, so. 2 different, would not attempt. I agree with you. Some people wouldn't do it. Some people would do it, believe it or not. If you're asking, it's probably too hard. I'm asking to see if somebody in the YouTube world can do it. It's not the matter of me doing it, because I already know the answer to the equation, so. I think we can use our RAMs for that. Okay. We could. tweak the 4070 firmware with extra VRAM. I'll give you a thumbs up for trying, but the thing is no, you can't. It's not as simple. That's cheating the GPU. And when you go to use the GPU and it gives you the correct amount on HW info, you're not cheating anybody, you're cheating yourself. So I really wouldn't go that route to that aspect of that. So you cannot add VRAM to a GPU, you need to buy a new card. Well, RTX 7900 XTX with 24 gigabytes will be your best bet if you're okay with AMD. Well, I'm okay with AMD, I'm okay with NVIDIA, so it doesn't matter. I use both. I'm not a hater. I'm not a fanboy of anything. I use NVIDIA and I use AMD. And I'm going to start using Intel too. The ARC. Because I want all flavors. I just don't want one flavor. I want all three flavors. I want to see what they got to offer. I already got this. I'm going to get me another one. My friend got the 7800 XT. Not a bad card, but like I said, I've already tested the 7800 XT from AMD. I've already tested the 4070 from NVIDIA. I'm going to get an ARC card, the A770. I'm going to test that too. I'm going to get me another AMD card. I'll probably get the 7900 GRE. And look at it and see why it has the heating issue and fix the heating issue and go on with my day. So that's pretty much that. And now, since we went through all the comments here on the boob tube, now we're back on to the main screen. MTBK, Machine, what did you guys think of the comments? They're crazy, huh? And crazy comments. Went through quite a bit of them. I mean, went through about 90% of them, for real. So, what do you guys think about the comments? Leave me a comment right here, or leave a comment on this live video as well. Let me know what you think. Oh, really? Yeah, I agree with you, MTBK. You like those comments, and then, you know, excellent use of the brain. Yeah, I do agree with that 100%. But, you know, I was trying to get as many comments as I could, so that way, you know, everybody can see, you know, where everybody's thought of mind is when it comes to the question that I asked everybody when it comes to, you know, can it be done? And the response was great. I love the responses. See, but that's not even the worst part of it all. And I want y'all to understand something. I don't mind AMD, but with them dropping the ball on the thing about the CUDA, the Zoluda that they were going to call it, and with it going open source on this, the Zoluda, they're going to wind up getting shut down for that. And I hope y'all understand that. And I hope y'all don't download that program just to make your AMD card, get CUDA. It's going to be like a waste of time for you. So I would really think about not doing that. If I had to give an RTX 4070 16 gigabytes, I would use 128 bits only and do it clamshell and have 2 times 2 gigabyte modules for the 4 memory controllers. Yeah, you could. But do understand this. With the 50 series that's coming out from NVIDIA, are they going to take the controllers from 32-bit to 64-bit individual controllers? That's going to be the question. I was hearing something about NVIDIA wanting to go up to the 64-bit controllers. That is what I'm waiting for. We've been sitting on this factor of 32-bit controllers for over 20 plus years. 20 plus years. It's time these companies start upping it to the 64-bit controllers. Seriously. I know they won't, but they need to. They're making us stay back in the Stone Age just so they can make money. They can make more money if they take and up the ante a little bit, and this would do it. And that's my honest opinion. If they up the ante, then they would make a lot more money than they do now. I'm sure they would make a hell of a lot more money. Putting stronger and better controllers in there and stuff like that. Having cards built to last, which they're not. Cards now don't get built to last. That's the reason why I say, you can get out of the newer cards, you're going to get between 3 and 5 years. So, it's kind of a long road. It's going to be a long road. But it's going to take another 10, 15 years for us to get somewhere to the space age, the computer age. This is the computer age, but they need to push this up into the space age to where everything is, a lot higher and runs a lot faster than it does now. Because everything, the way it runs like dinosaurs. They need to get past the dinosaurs. And trust me, in 1986, I was saying the same thing. Same thing. I was saying Packard Bell needs to push things to the limit to get us out of the Stone Age. I was saying that back in 1986. I said in 1986, I said in 1981 or 1991, I said it in 2004, I said it in 2009, and then going over here, I said it in 2015, and I said it in 2021, and now we're in 2024, so I'm saying it again. Let's hope in 10 to 15 years, the new games are better again. Let's hope that the hardware is better again. See, they're keeping us on this hardware track, and it's not working. This is the reason why the hardware is coming out the way it is. They have everything pre-planned before we even buy it. So you have to understand that. Everything that goes into this PC world has been pre-planned by these companies. So they got their idea of what they want to do from now and 30 years from now. So 30 years from now, they already got it planned what they're going to be doing then. They have all this crap planned. And all we're doing is we're being led by the nose and following along. So, cheers. Everybody needs to get out of this this world of fogginess and come to the reality of the world and realize this is how far they've taken things. That they sit there and every time lie to you. That they got something better for you on the forefront. Now, with the 5070, they say it's going to be faster, or the 5090 is going to be 70% faster than the 4090. So between the 4090 and the 5090 is supposed to be 70% faster. Really? Like 7% faster, maybe. So, I am satisfied with the performance per cost I get now. Hey, I'm satisfied from the cost and performance that I get. Like I told you, and I'm going to say it again, take your cost performance for 1 year. Yeah, I know the 5090 will not be able to stretch its legs yet. Because if they turn around and lock out overclocking, then yeah, you're not going to be able to stretch its legs. Even in 1080p. So yeah, I mean, it's common sense. They did the 4090D and locked you out from overclocking it. So now they're not looking towards the enthusiast. They're looking towards their pocket. Because they know if you can't overclock it, then there's going to be a problem. People are not going to buy it. And that's what happened with the 4090D. People weren't buying it. Gamers were not buying it. Just like the 7900 GRE, people were not buying it in China, so now it's global. Why? There's got to be something wrong with it in order for, the cause and effect is if there's something wrong with it, people are not going to buy it. And that's exactly what happened, because the cooler on there for the heat sink cooler for those GPUs were the first rendition to the 7900 XTX were put on the 7900 GRE as an upsell. So that's why it went cheaper at cost. So, I mean, the CPU limits being still a thing. If the engine and FPS will not limit, the processor will limit unless the new CPUs will be way faster. Well, MTBK, they're already saying that they're looking to get double the speed out of the new CPUs compared to the 7000 series. Compared to that 7000 series that they got for AMD. The AM5 7000 series. So, They're already looking for close to double the speed. That's what you're just saying in the rumors right now, so yeah. In the rumors. So, like I said, I'm not going to spend any of my money, even though I know I saved up my money to buy a whole new computer. That's what I've been doing. Saved up my money for a whole new computer. I'm waiting for the next gen to come out. I want to see what it has to offer before I go buy the parts. So this is a waiting game for me. I could have bought GPUs and CPUs and motherboards and everything else, but no, I'm saving my money because I want to see what the next best thing that's coming out. I'm only going to have 3 years left on this whole system that I got right here. It's coming to the point that I'm going to be down to 3 years in September. In September, I got 3 years to go. So, I can't believe it myself. Oh my goodness. At least y'all like the background music. At least you ain't bored. At least I kept your interesting quality up there. You know. I want to MTBK, why I got you here. I want to talk about something, man. I want to talk about something. There's something I want to talk to you about. I got a question for you. You asked me about my graphics card nightmares, right? You asked me about graphics card nightmares. And you asked me I should put graphs and more content in there to make it a little bit more live. Right? I have thought about that. And what I might do, see the whole purpose of doing graphs and stuff, this means you're doing it over a period of time, right? So what I'm going to have to do in order to get the right kind of graphs, I'm going to have to go through 4 of my graphics card nightmares for 1 month and see what kind of numbers I'm getting on certain GPUs that are worth of interest, and then build me a whole graph on that to get a pricing to get it, get it just the way it's supposed to be. So that's going to take a little time. I was thinking about doing that, believe it or not. I was thinking about it. So, yeah, I can tend to agree that I should add a little bit more content to it, but I will in time. Not if the effort is too much. Successful YouTubers tell how they change their content creating platform, and no more stressed. Yeah, true, But I'm making the way I'm doing the changes, I'm making it in little increments. You guys said you wanted me to put a little bit more comedy in there, so I did. I added a little bit more comedy to the videos. I did. Now that, I got, it's a work in progress. So that's basically, I'm doing a work in progress right now. When I got everything up to the standards of everybody, it'll look a lot better than it does now. But you got to remember, I started my channel. I'm not a video editor. I'm not a video creator or anything else. I am a PC technician. Okay. When I started my channel, I didn't know anything about doing videos for YouTube. Did not know anything. So from the first day I opened up my channel, which was the 6th of September, to now, 6th of September 2022, to now, I've learned a lot. So it's different from working on a PC and then working on a video. Okay, you got to understand that. There's two different balls of wax you're working with here. So I had to learn how to make YouTube videos, and I'm still learning. There's still things I don't know about, the video aspect, but I'm still learning. So, sure, like technicians, they try again. Yep. Lots of testing is required to feel safe if something works great. Yeah, I agree with that. I do agree with that. You test again until it's right. You might test an item or a whole PC 300 times and it could still be wrong. After the 300th time you tested it, it could still be wrong. So you have to keep that in consideration. You have to, the parts you put together and stuff like that, the software, people, they put the hardware together, but the one thing they forget is the software. What's the software doing in the background? What's happening with the software? In the foreground, in the background, what's it doing? Is it actually giving you display drivers, or is it giving you the right kind of drivers for each individual item? Per se, the hardware, you getting the correct drivers to get the correct combinations for your computer to run correctly and run smooth and at idle, running at almost no percentage of usage. That's the hardcore thing. Getting your system to run at 0.00001% at idle. That's the hardest thing. And knowing to have that much of your system sitting at idle, when you go to play a game, then you think, well, I'm getting 100%. That 1% you're not ever going to get. When it comes to the software, that 1% of your system you're never, ever, ever going to get. You're always going to be right there at 99%. Never the 100% mark. There's always 1% that's given for just sitting idle. So, you're never going to get the 1%. Look, I'm going to say it like this. I'm not a PC god. Okay? I'm not going around preaching the gab of this or that. No. I'm just stating facts, not fiction. When I hear a lot of people give up a lot of this fiction and not given the right amount of facts, that's kind of that's kind of screwing the public. My knowledge, I give to you out of my head, not what's on the internet. What I've tested is in my head, and I put it here on the internet. Okay? There's always something I'm doing new each day, testing something different. So every day I'm always getting something tested and something done. That's what I put on videos, and everything else is what I see and what's being done. So I think the operating system to run without interfering is the hardest part, at least to me. Other programs like games, no problem. Well, the hardest part of it all is the operating system, because now you're going from hardware to software. So now you got to get the software to be compliant with the hardware to keep, to turn things on and off in the hardware. Open something, close, and it's doing it at million times a second. Going back and forth, information, million times a second. So in order to get it to run right, you have to have the right software to make it work. But if you took away Windows software, you took away all the software in the world, and you put together your hardware and build a PC, it's worthless. It is worthless. Your PC will become totally worthless and useless without the software. Microsoft knows this. This is the reason why they stay in business. Simple because of that. They make millions per day. Don't think they don't. They make millions per day. That's because they know that you need the software for your hardware alone. So, understanding how your operating system works is the biggest plus in the world for you. Understanding what kind of bloatware is on that software is even more. So you can eliminate the bloatware and be done. Me, I eliminated the problems. The first problem I eliminated was the system scheduling. I disabled it. That allowed the cores to run when I need them. Simple put. I undervolted because the motherboard was pushing the max amount of voltage onto the CPU. So I undervolted the CPU through the motherboard, through the BIOS. Now it's balanced. Stepped up the RAM to its max capacity. Not a problem. My computer runs flawless because I took my time building it from piece by piece. Flawless. And believe it or not, I can tell you the 4070 with the processor I have, if I get 200 FPS, 300 FPS, anything over 60, anything that's over 60 FPS is going to be great gameplay. So you don't need to spend an arm and a leg to build a PC. Everybody thinks that. Oh, you build a bigger, better, badder one, you'll get the best speed ever. Not true. I proved that on a comment long time ago. Person says that I got a better motherboard, I got a better processor than you, but you get double the amount of FPS that I get. How? That's something y'all need to think about. How am I getting double the FPS of that person when they're running the AM5 motherboard? AM5 motherboard. I think they're running the 7700X or something like that. The same graphics card I got, but I'm running twice the amount of speed. I am nowhere near bragging about that. I am not bragging about it. I don't see it as an achievement to me. I see it more or less as a voice of knowledge. That's what I see it as. Just like when I'm reading these comments out to you all. Hopefully you understand I did that so you all see that I'm involved in when it comes to the other channel, which is my mobile channel and my home channel here. I'm involved in the comments. I read all the comments daily, and I interact with everybody that I can on the channel. So if I'm not, then holler at me and I'll interact with you. Plus, we do got a Discord. If you're looking to get on Discord, we do have a Discord channel. Just leave me a comment down below on the live video or any video and say, hey, Jay, can you send me a Discord link? I'll send you a Discord link. I don't have a problem with that. So all you got to do is ask. I'll send you a direct Discord link. I'll put it on your the video where you ask the question. There's no email involvement or nothing. Just leave me a comment on one of the videos saying, hey, I want to be a part of the Discord channel. Fine. I'll send you a link right then and there. So if you want to get a link, let me know. I'll put it and just post something on a video. I'll see it and I'll respond to it and I'll send you one. How do you get double FPS of that person? Well, that's the question. Who knows? This is what they told me. Okay, MTBK, understand this. This is what they told me. I showed them the amount of FPS I got on a game. They asked me the question, how am I getting double the amount of FPS they are? I don't know. I have not built their computer. How do I know what they got? Think about it. I don't know if they got what they say they got. Who knows? So, well, for some other comparison, you gave the answer. You also tweaked the game settings a little. Yep, pretty much. All you got to do is take your time, sit idle in a game, tweak the settings to find the right settings that's going to work with the game, and you'll get the perfect FPS. All you got to do is sit there and just tweak until you get it perfectly right, and that's it. And just play the game. Be happy with it. I mean, it's not hard. I mean, from what I learned years in game, you do is you set yourself in a spot that's got the least amount of textures. You tweak the game, and then you play it. And you'll see your FPS increase. It's not hard. Okay, they just said yours runs double the speed. Experience is everything. Can't compare. Yeah, true. Experience is everything. You can't compare it. If you know what you're doing to get there to do that, then yeah. But if they're wondering how to get there, it's called test, test, test. Keep testing until you got your system the way you want it. Until you get it to its maximum. Till you got it pouring out to where you're getting no glitching. No glitching or stuttering on your monitor. No hesitation from the game. And it's like clockwork every time. It's not hard. I mean, it's the simplest thing you can do. But you got to know the settings to tweak, and there's more than one setting to tweak. You got your BIOS settings, you got your main settings, you're in your control panel for like NVIDIA or Adrenaline software, the AMD Adrenaline software for AMD. You got that to worry about what you're going to tweak in there too. And then you got to worry about what you're going to tweak on the game. So you have to figure out all those settings and have them perfectly set in order for your gameplay to be at its best of 100%. So, and it's about experience, yes, but the only way you get experience is if you test, test, test. That's how you get experience. That's how you gain your experience. Is by trying and testing. You get it wrong, test again. You get it wrong, test again. You get it wrong, test again until you get it right. Just keep testing until you can get it right. And that's the whole purpose of being an enthusiast, is to take and tweak and tinker with everything to make your computer run at 1,000%. If you want to say 1,000%, but I say 1,000%. I say that so everybody understands, I like mine to have 1,000%. If I can get 1,000% out of it, and I don't have to pay the extra cost of the 1,000%, who wins? I win. Because I don't have to pay the extra cost. And you wonder why you can't get anywhere near to what I'm getting? That's because you're probably not using the same hardware as me. Okay? Now, if you did your homework, you know that there's a couple new things that's on AM5 that they took away from you, that they gave to you on AM4. Now, a lot of people know this, but I'm not going to say what it is, and I'm going to let you all figure it out. What did they take away from you when you moved from AM5 series, moved to AM5 series from the AM4? I'm going to let you all give me the answer in the comments below. What did they have on the AM4 series that they took away from you on the AM5 series? That's going to be the question. So, when you figure that out and what they took away, then you'll know the difference between AM4 and AM5. I already know what the answer is, so I'm not going to say it. I'm going to let you all answer it in the comments below. there it is. So now it is almost time to call it quits for this video, this live video. I know, MTBK, you're going to be thinking about this for the next couple hours. This is a good test for you all to see if you really know your motherboard status. Really know if you know what's going on with the motherboards. And the AMD processor. Really going to have to do your homework on this one. So, but that's the homework I'm leaving with y'all until the next live feed, which is next Saturday at 11 a.m. right here on JJ's PC Builds. And if you enjoyed your time, yeah, I'm reading what you're saying. Yeah, DDR4, my first bet would be DDR4. I'm sure having something to do with the voltage regulation. I'm not going to say. I won't say. Y'all have to figure it out and tell me next week what you come up with. Or leave the comment on this live stream, after we get said and done, if you know the answer to it. So, something to think about. But we're going to go ahead and call it right here. And I did enjoy my time with you and everybody that stayed in the chat. And I want to thank you all for sticking around with us right here on the channel. And we are going to be right back here next week at 11 a.m. sharp. So that way y'all can get in and put your questions in and everything else and let me know what you want to know. But we're going to have something hot coming up for next week. So we're going to be working towards that and see what, I got some things in mind, but I'm not going to tell y'all because then I give away my secrets and I don't want to do that. So y'all have to wait till next week. And make sure you all subscribe to this channel. We're working towards the 1,000 mark of subscribers and 4,000 watch hours. So it'd be appreciated if you subscribed and helped the channel out. But until the next time and the next video, you know who it is, JJ on JJ's PC Builds. We will see you next week on, the next